Our group has decided to test the effects of the misinformation effect and how that leads to false memory. When a past event is presented with new, deceptive, ambiguous information, the recall or collection of the event is warped or manipulated, which is also called the misinformation effect. The new information can change the accuracy of the memory. The misinformation coincides with retroactive interference, where the old information is harder to recall accurately when new information is presented, changing the accuracy of the memory. False memory when someone remembers information incorrectly or remembers something that didn't even happen in the event. This makes it harder to differentiate between false memories and accurate memories. Source confusion can also occur because a witness of the event can't seem to connect with someone who presented information of the event that they witnessed and aren't sure which is the correct information. The misinformation effect is very likely to happen because the new information told to them directly is easier to remember and lacks effortful processing. Episodic memory is the recollection of facts or events, but it needs effortful processing to recall. When being interviewed after an event happens, the interviewer will use suggested melody in their questions. The interviewer will intentionally change the questions to provide the test subject to answer the question incorrectly. We as interviewer will try to distort the memory with false information so the recall is incorrect.
Okay, so connecting this to prior studies, Elizabeth Loftus and other psychologists tested the misinformation effect and how newly presented information can distort the memories of eyewitness accounts. So basically, she would her experiments consisted of eyewitness accounts of car crashes. Then she would mislead the participants by presenting new, inaccurate information, changing their view of the event. So she would mislead the participants by asking how fast the car was going when it crashed into the object. With questions like these, the results were very interesting. Participants who were disposed to misleading information were more likely to recall the events incorrectly. She contributed greatly towards the study of false memories. Okay, we decided to do this because we believe high schoolers are gullible and people our age are more likely to be influenced by others and manipulated by their words. We also were intrigued by the fact that when we interview, we have control over influencing others' responses and manipulating them. Because the misinformation effect also tests the participants' capability to accurately recall, we will use manipulation to change the accuracy.
When the experimental group is caught off guard by the fight going on, they are less likely to be observant towards tiny details and their surroundings, which will then cause them to misremember facts while being misguided in interviews. Because of the surprise factor, participants are more likely to be manipulated by the questions that are being asked.
Okay, hi guys. So what we're gonna do today is we're giving you two lists and we're giving you about 2 minutes to memorize as many words as possible. And then after that, we're just gonna quiz you on how many words you know. So I'm gonna time you right now. Ready, go. Hey guys, can you move please? Can you go? We're trying to do something. Okay, your 2 minutes is done. Okay, Sharon, please recite as many words as possible. We're first going to interview Doksh, and we're just going to interview him separately. Try to answer these questions to the best of your ability, and don't say, I don't know, okay?
I can't say I'm not sure.
You can't say I'm not sure.
Okay.
Okay. What emotion would you say Ethan was feeling when he violently shoved Joey?
Attracted to Joey.
Okay. At what force would you say that Ethan shoved Joey with violence?
The force just at this point.
What shade of blue would you say Ethan was wearing? Okay, but what shade of blue? What shade of red would you say Joey was wearing? At what force would you say Joey struck Ethan with his sweatshirt?
Very force.
What force would you say that Ethan shoved Joey with brutality? What force would you say that Ethan shoved Joey with brutality?
What force? Like
Was it like strong or was it gentle?
I guess medium.
What shade of purple would you say that Ethan was wearing?
I don't think he cares.
What shade do you think it would be? What shade of green do you think that Joey would wear?
Is that like a sweater or something?
Just answer the question. Like, what shade do you think it would be?
It would be
What shade of green is Joey wearing?
dark.
And at what force do you think that Joey playfully swung Jake this week?
Okay, this is our conclusion. Contrary to our belief, the results came out contradicting to our original hypothesis. After interviewing the participants, even though they were being asked misleading questions, they answered the questions accurately and were caught on that we were tricking them. For example, they called us out when we asked what shade of blue Ethan was wearing and said that no one was wearing blue, and they answered with the correct color. They stated that the true colors and they recalled what happened in the experiment correctly and weren't misled by our questions.
We believe that the experimental group was going to be caught off guard by the fight going on, and that they are less likely to be observant to tiny details, which will then cause them to misremember facts while being misguided in interviews. Because of the surprise factor, participants are more likely to be manipulated by the questions being asked. Though this hypothesis seems logical, it was our procedure and materials that lacked important details. For one, the purple and green shirts were way too vibrant and much easier for participants to remember. We can relate this to selective attention because people are shown to have more attentiveness towards striking colors, making it so that there's better recall. Another confounding variable was the spacing of time between the scene and the interview. The results may have been different if the period of time the participants saw the scene and been asked questions was longer. Spacing it out would have led to misattribution to the results, so the results could have been closer to our hypothesis. Furthermore, more trial runs would have been beneficial to see if any more participants would have been misled by the questions.